I carry so many important files on my USB flash drive. Copies of passports, birth certificates, driver's licenses, payslips, and copies of so many different private documents. I've always found it convenient to keep them on this drive for basically any time I need it. Now yes, that's definitely convenient, but if I'm being honest, it's not very smart. If I lose this device and someone finds it, well, they'll know everything about me and my family. Identity theft would be the least of my worries. So that's where the SecureUSB BT comes in. This thing encrypts all my documents, and in order to access it, you first have to unlock the drive using your phone. So if you're interested, keep watching. So this is the box for the SecureUSB BT. This particular one is the 80GB version, but you can also purchase sizes of 16GB, 32GB and 64GB. Now if you wanted to get something with a much higher capacity, then you should take a look at the SecureDrive BT, which I've already reviewed on this channel. These come in sizes from 250GB all the way to 8TB. They're just as secure and have the same features, but obviously the USB stick is just way more portable and easier to carry around. Now one thing you'll notice when I unbox the device is the lack of plastic. SecureDrive are making use of sustainable materials, which is definitely a good thing and something all companies should strive to do. Inside the box there's a lanyard. You've got a USB-A to micro USB adapter and a USB-A to USB-C adapter. Very thoughtful of SecureDrive to include both of these. It just means you'll be able to use it with more devices. Next we have the SecureUSB BT, the USB stick itself, but before we get to that, we also have the quick start guide. I'll of course go through the setup process for you a little later on. Now if we go back to the USB stick, you can see it actually looks really good in this metallic blue colour. There's SecureDrive branding on the top and on the side. There's a protective sleeve this drive sits inside of. Now with the sleeve on, the USB stick is IP57 rated, which means it's protected from dust and it's water resistant up to 1 meter for about 30 minutes. Now that's very important because a device like this will probably be with you wherever you go, so you would expect it to have some resistance to the elements. This device is of course very light, but for those who want to know, it weighs only 16 grams with the sleeve on and also measures in at 56 by 20 by 10 millimeters. Basically it's about the size of most USB flash drives, just ever so slightly bigger, but it's very marginal. You need to also bear in mind that unlike the others here in my hand, the SecureUSB is of course hardware encrypted. It's got Bluetooth and can be unlocked via a specific paired device. You've also got a tricolour LED at the bottom. On the other side you have the device ID and serial number, both of which you'll need for setting up, resetting and wiping the device. All the specs are up on the screen, so feel free to pause if you want, but the key specs are as follows. It has AES XTS 256-bit full disk hardware encryption. It's FIPS 140-2 level 3 validated, which means it follows strict requirements for physical tamper resistance. The interior parts are covered in epoxy to prevent media removal by hackers. It's OS agnostic, meaning it will work with any operating system. You don't need to install any software or drivers, which means it will work on a computer which would restrict you from installing anything on them, like university or work computers. It's got a USB 3.0, 3.1 and 3.2 interface with a stated read speed up to 150 MB per second and write speed up to 43 MB per second, which even with hardware encryption and some performance overhead isn't much slower than a typical USB flash drive. We will of course test the read and write speeds a little later on in this review, but first let's get this device set up. So in order to use the SecureUSB, you'll need to have the Secure Data Lock app installed. Start the Secure Data Lock app on your device, making sure you have Bluetooth enabled. Tap the plus icon on the top left corner. Take the drive out of its sleeve and keep a note of the device ID here on the USB connector right on the top. Connect the drive to a computer or laptop. Tap the drive name that appears on the app, then enter the device ID and press OK when you're done. And that's it, it's all set up and ready to use. Just like the solid state drive I reviewed earlier, this USB flash drive comes with plenty of features like wireless authentication, step-away auto-lock, inactivity auto-lock, read-only mode and remote wipe, which by the way will cost you around £18 per drive per year. Of all these features, in my opinion, most people will be using wireless authentication and step-away auto-lock. When you plug this device into a computer, it won't straight away appear under File Explorer. Simply start the Secure Data Lock app. You'll notice the red lock sign here indicating the drive is locked. Tap the drive name and then unlock with either a password or your fingerprint like I'm doing here. When the drive is unlocked, you'll see a solid green unlocked LED on the drive itself and it should automatically appear in your File Explorer. That's pretty cool, right? You gotta admit. Finally, step-away auto-lock is exactly what the name implies. If enabled, it will lock the drive when your phone is moved about 3 meters away from the drive. The drive will also disappear from the File Explorer, making it impossible for anyone to access while you're away. That's definitely a very useful feature. There's also another feature I should mention. It's called brute force hacking detection. If someone enters an incorrect password 10 times consecutively, the drive will completely wipe itself. So make sure you have anything stored on the drive backed up elsewhere, because if the drive is wiped, the data won't be recoverable, and that's going to be pretty annoying if you lose all the data that you actually need. Let's run a speed test here on CrystalDiskMark. I'll speed up the process so you don't have to wait. We got a sequential 165 MB per second read speed and 81 MB per second write speed. That's a lot faster than the stated 150 MB per second read and 43 MB per second write speeds, which is definitely surprising. The speed isn't much slower than a typical USB flash drive. Even though encryption adds some overhead, it's still pretty fast if you compare with similar flash drives without hardware encryption. Let's get something out of the way before we conclude. Price wise, when you compare the smaller size of the SecureUSB to the cheapest USB flash drive from SanDisk is offering double the capacity for significantly less. So yeah, if you want a bog standard USB flash drive, you can get it for much less. Then if you wanted to, you could encrypt that via software, adding a performance overhead to your computer, and of course that wouldn't be usable on computers that require admin rights. Basically, look, the SecureUSB isn't a normal USB flash drive. It's more expensive, but the price is justified because unlike a traditional flash drive, it packs all the features we've already mentioned in this review. What you're paying for here is the added security without impacting the performance of your computer, and you also have the convenience of using this on any computer, whether it's the library computer or work computer. It doesn't matter, because you won't need to install any additional software to use it. So now that we've got the price out the way, in terms of read and write speeds, this flash drive performs similarly to a typical flash drive. But let's be honest, speed shouldn't be a concern here. The largest capacity you can get is 64 GB, so that means you're not going to be transferring anything larger than that. It's not like you're going to be waiting for ages for a transfer to complete. It's surprising to see that even with encryption and security being the main focal point here, the performance is still on par with flash drives that don't have hardware encryption. When I tested out the SecureUSB BT recently, in my review I mentioned how innovative that product was. It was so close to being perfect, but because of its lack of ingress protection, it just wasn't quite there. Well, what SecureDrive has done here is make that device even more portable and added IP57 dust and water resistance. That makes the SecureUSB BT as close to perfect as you can get. If you're interested, you can find the links to purchase this flash drive in the description below. This has been Raju Rahman from Techtonic. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and it helped you, please subscribe and like. That would really help me out. And don't forget to check out these other videos too.